Welcome back to Living Beyond Limits. I'm your host, Marcy Langlois. Are you sick and tired of being completely and utterly exhausted at the end of your day? Do you not even have an ounce of energy left? And then your brain hurts and your back is aching? Do you wonder how everyone else keeps up with all of the demands of life? And you probably also are wondering if they feel like they've been hit by a Mack truck at the end of their day. If you can relate and you're looking for a way to shift things, then you definitely don't want to miss today's episode. We're going to dive into how our body is like a battery, what the implications to our daily life are, and then I'm going to leave you with 3 tips for recharging your battery to get the most out of each and every day. I don't know about you, but I was one of those type A, all or nothing, go for it kind of people. I wanted to do it all. I wanted to be the top performer at work. I worked from the time that I opened my eyes and returned my last email just before I turned the light out at night. I exercised daily, biked over 100 miles a week, hiked a couple of times a week, played golf 3 or 4 times, and I had a family and some friends on top of that. Every minute of my day was scheduled to the second. For a number of years, this seemed to work okay for me, but in reality, my body never really appreciated this level of demand, if we're being honest. I struggled with chronic illness, but I thought, I'm just going to keep going. Things will work themselves out. So that's what I did. What a big mistake that was for me. I learned the hard way that the body cannot sustain continuous demands and pressure, which leads me to my very first point. What does it mean exactly that our body is like a battery? Our body is made of energy. Literally. Our cells are mini batteries. On a physical level, they're fueled by elements like potassium, magnesium, and others that create an electrical charge within the body. The nervous system must have electricity to be able to send signals so that we can move, think, and feel. We only have so much available energy for basic bodily functions. Have you ever noticed that when you're starting to get sick, if you just take a time out and you get rest, that oftentimes you're able to avoid the looming illness? But if you don't, and you just simply keep going, and you don't take that time to rest and give your body the extra attention, then the next thing you know, you're sick. That, my friends, is because the system only has so much bandwidth. And when you add the extra burden of illness, then the body goes into overload. By redirecting some of the energy in your body from external activities into internal activities, then the immune system has that extra energy and support that it needs and can devote to whatever bug may be upsetting the system. Our bodies are amazing, dynamic, intricate, complex beings. And because of that, they will often do whatever it is that we're asking them to do, even if it means throwing the entire system out of balance. But the body only has so much output that it can produce per day that will allow you to stay in health and wholeness. Just because we're able to perform whatever task it is that we've set out to do does not mean that we should. The body is always wanting to accommodate our demands, but there is a limit that we should keep an eye on. When we push to the limit and go, we underestimate how much energy our body needs to recover and repair, just like a battery. Our body needs to be recharged in order to work properly. And stress, that drains the battery much more quickly than any regular activity does. The way that you live your life will determine the energy that you'll have available for all the processes and functions of the body. How you eat and spend your time, that matters too. Every activity you do either gives energy and support into your life, or it takes away from that energy. If you eat highly nutritious foods like quinoa bowls with spinach and broccoli, and then you follow it up with a bowl of berries for dessert, then you're charging your battery. If you live on a steady diet of pizza and soda, that's like giving your body a cheap, fast charge. Yes, it may provide some fuel, but it's not the right kind. Definitely not the best kind for long-term sustenance. Everything you do either charges the battery or you're draining it. You have a choice all day, every day. Going for walks or sitting on the couch. Choosing to hold on to resentment or letting it go. Each experience is a deposit or a depletion towards your charge. So let's take a look at how the body being a battery impacts your daily life. Have you ever noticed that when you have a headache, for example, and you sit around and focus on how much your head hurts, how your day is now interrupted by this headache, and of course, how frustrating that is for you? I don't know about you, but when I focus on this type of situation, the situation usually goes from bad to worse. The next thing I know, the pain in my head is amplified. And then I become more frustrated by the minute because my day has become delayed, and then my mood completely deteriorates. Also, though, have you ever noticed that if you get up and you start working on something, the next thing that you know, the headache isn't really the forefront of your attention anymore? Maybe you even forget that you had a headache. This right here is the epitome of how energy works. Wherever we focus our attention, the energy flows. In essence, if we focus on what is bothering us, that will grow. And if we focus on what we love and is feeding our soul, then that will grow. Either option will either deplete us or recharge us. It's our choice. If you're like me and have experienced the way the body is so similar to a battery and how essential it is to be mindful of the charging or depleting, then you get completely how toxic the busyness culture that we live in today is. This idea that we have to schedule every moment of every single day for us, our kids, and now even our pets is just, it's over the top. This state of busyness takes a huge toll on the body because it's so depleting. Not to mention, busyness moves the entire system into a chronic state of stress. And we all know from my previous episodes that chronic states of stress wreaks havoc in the body. Disease and illness are sure to follow. No one wants that. And we can all shift it. That moves me right along into my next point. Here's the cold, hard truth. We get to choose how we live our lives. A lot of people are going to argue this point and say, my life is what it is, and I don't really have a lot of choices. Hold the phone. That is not true. We all get to choose each day how we're going to live our lives by choosing how we think, what we feel, the belief systems that we choose, what we eat, and if we exercise or not. Each of these is a choice for us to make each and every day, and each one of our choices will influence the charge of our battery. That's the good news here. We all get to choose. So then the big question is, what can I do to recharge my battery or better distribute the energy? Here's where you should start. Make a commitment to yourself, your body, and your health. Take the time to recharge each day. Be intentional with your time and spend time on just yourself. Assess your life by asking yourself, how well did you live today? You can measure the quality of your life by looking at the following areas. Did you have balance in all things? Your physical being, mental, emotional, and spiritual. Then I always like to ask myself, where did I crush it? And how can I do more of that, which I love? If you do the first suggestion really well, then these next two will only help support your effort. I don't know about you, but sometimes I find it hard to think beyond my own thoughts or feel beyond my current emotional state. A guaranteed way that I have found to shift things is to find something to read or listen to that inspires me. Something that I learn from that fires me up. You know, that fire in your belly, and it resonates deeply. Anything that's bringing you joy and fulfillment, it's certain to be charging your battery. Lastly, if you're an extrovert and get a charge from being with your community, then schedule the time to do that every week, no matter what, and then show up. And if you're introverted and recharge with solitude and quiet, like me, then schedule that in. Be in tune with what it is that you need, and then allow for that for yourself. We have some pretty clear connections on how our body is like a battery and how we can either charge it or deplete it. I've laid out 3 ways for you on how you can be certain to move the needle on your charge every single day. I always love to hear from listeners about your own experience of how you live your life that supports your charge or what you've learned from living with a depleted charge. I sincerely hope that you found this episode helpful or insightful. If so, please share this with your community of friends, family, and coworkers. Also, if you have a minute, please follow me on TikTok, YouTube, or Instagram. I provide helpful tips in between episodes. Until next week, be aiming to live beyond your limits.